Keir Starmer's Labour government is facing one of its most damning scandals yet, and this time it's a double-barreled disaster. On one side, a migrant crisis spiralling out of control, with more than 38,000 asylum seekers now living in hotels across Britain. On the other, whispers of betrayal aimed at the very pensioners Labour once vowed to protect. It's a political firestorm, and the flames are only just beginning to rise. The scandal broke wide open when a new Treasury document, published by the Office for Value for Money, casually confirmed what many feared. The practice of housing migrants in hotels isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's set to continue for years to come. Yes, years. This despite Labour's explicit election pledge to end the use of asylum hotels and redirect taxpayer money more responsibly. Right now, Britain is spending £5.5 million every single day on hotel accommodation for migrants. That's £41,000 per asylum seeker, up from just £17,000 in 2020. And what do taxpayers get in return? Hotel chains raking in profits, private contractors cashing in, and an asylum system that appears to reward illegality. But don't take our word for it. Check out the clip of Will Kingston unleashing on GB News, demanding that Britain adopt Australia's strict and effective border stance.
Just very quickly,
I interrupted Will, so let me hear from you properly.
You are overcomplicating this. I don't want to play the Australian card, but Australia sorted this out 10 years ago. They said very simply, if you come by a boat to the country, you will never be allowed to stay in the country. Guess what? As a result of that, illegal migrants stopped. You can still be a legal refugee and apply through the proper channels. And you do that not by getting on a boat and then entering the country, but by doing it from a different port outside of Australia, or in this case, outside of the United Kingdom. But in here, if you keep putting houses or hotels or, Novotels or, the Ritz or whatever, even a Premier Inn, the fact is that is an incentive for more people to risk their lives on the channel. This is not complicated.
I agree. I think this is a scandal.
He went on to slam the UK's current policy of incentivising channel crossings by offering hotel stays, food and taxpayer-funded resources. Whether it's the Ritz or a Premier Inn, if you provide free accommodation, you're sending a signal. That signal says, come on over, Britain's wide open. And if that wasn't enough to spark public rage, the Treasury report includes another gut punch. The firms contracted to find hotels for migrants, middlemen, not government bodies, have made record profits in recent years. They're accused of profiteering, essentially turning the migrant crisis into a gold mine while everyday Britons are forced to tighten their belts. Just think about it. While thousands of British families struggle to heat their homes, and while pensioners cut back on food to afford basic utilities, these contractors are cashing in on the chaos. It's not just bad optics, it's moral failure on a national scale. What happened to Labour's promises? During the general election campaign, Starmer made a bold, crystal-clear pledge. End asylum hotels, save the taxpayer billions. But now, under his watch, not only has the number of hotel-housed migrants surged by 8,000, but the government is laying the groundwork to keep the whole system in place indefinitely. And, as if the outrage over the migrant hotel scandal wasn't enough to shake the public's trust, Labour has found itself tangled in another brewing rebellion, this time within its own ranks. The target? Britain's pensioners. Behind closed doors, Labour MPs are now quietly floating the idea of scrapping or reforming the state pension triple lock. That's right. The very mechanism that guarantees pensioners' incomes rise with inflation, wages, or by 2.5%, whichever is higher, is now being framed as unsustainable. Some Labour MPs calling it outdated. Others, like former Tory and now Labour advisor Jim O'Neill, are calling it bonkers. Jim O'Neill, now advising Chancellor Rachel Reeves, openly mocked the triple lock in a recent interview. It's bonkers, he declared, accusing Labour of tying its own hands by committing to policies that are financially reckless. His solution? Means test it. In other words, start picking and choosing which pensioners get protected and which ones get thrown under the fiscal bus. And here's the kicker. This isn't the first time Labour's gone after the elderly. Just last year, they quietly slashed the winter fuel payment, stripping support from more than 10 million people and saving $1.5 billion. The message is becoming increasingly clear. Labour's Budget Balancing Act might come at the expense of those who've worked their whole lives. One Labour MP even hinted at a trade-off solution. Abolish the triple lock, but expand pension credit eligibility. That's right. Scrap a universal benefit that gives dignity and certainty to pensioners and replace it with a complex means-tested system that often excludes those who need it most. Sound familiar? It should. That's how benefits get quietly cut behind a curtain of bureaucracy. One Labour MP even hinted at a trade-off solution. Abolish the triple lock, but expand pension credit eligibility. That's right. Scrap a universal benefit that gives dignity and certainty to pensioners and replace it with a complex, means-tested system that often excludes those who need it most. Sound familiar? It should. That's how benefits get quietly cut behind a curtain of bureaucracy. And where is Chancellor Rachel Reeves in all this? Playing a balancing act worthy of a circus performer. She's under pressure to raise defence spending, avoid breaching fiscal rules and grow the economy, all while not spooking the markets. According to insiders, Reeves is being advised to get creative with spending by shifting defence budgets off the books in a move reminiscent of Germany. But such tactics risk triggering higher borrowing costs, something the Treasury is desperate to avoid. Still, with the government committed to hitting its 2.5% defence target by 2027, Reeves has limited room to manoeuvre. The axe is already swinging in other areas. Last week alone, Labour confirmed $5 billion in disability benefit cuts. Now, whispers from Parliament suggest that pensioners could be next. This is not just a budgetary question. It's a moral one. Why, many ask, should Britain's most vulnerable citizens, disabled people and the elderly, bear the brunt of Labour's economic mismanagement? One MP put it bluntly, the social security system should be there for those who need it, not propping up rich pensioners. The problem with that line? It ignores the fact that pensioners have already paid into the system for decades. Many are on fixed incomes. And with inflation, rising rents, and surging energy bills, even modest savings can disappear overnight. Cutting their lifeline now isn't just wrong, it's politically suicidal. Let's be honest, this is shaping up to be the story that could define Starmer's premiership. A migrant crisis spiralling out of control, taxpayers footing the bill for hotels they'll never set foot in, and Labour insiders drawing up plans to raid the retirement incomes of Britain's elderly. And the backlash has only just begun. If you want more updates on this explosive story and all the latest twists in UK politics, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and stay tuned. Because this migrant scandal and Labour's looming pension betrayal are just heating up, and we'll be bringing you every scandalous twist as it breaks.